This is Lynn Jordan with Author's Tools. And today I was going to show you how I start a story concept using AI. Now, I did this the other day, and when I got in the middle of it, I realized I should have been recording it. But instead, I'll walk you through how I did this one, and then maybe I'll have time to do another one. All I did is, and this is in Claude, which is directly on the website. And it will say, give me 10 premises for a sweet contemporary Western romance. That's all I had in mind. I just want to think about a sweet contemporary Western. So I got 10, and they're all pretty good, and they're all pretty right on target for the subgenre. Cowboy returns home after years on the rodeo circuit to run his family's dude ranch and falls to the new horse trainer. Urban accountant inherits her grandmother's struggling ranch in Montana and decides to try her luck at ranching, only to be challenged at every turn by the handsome neighboring rancher. A young woman leaves her busy city life to spend the summer at her aunt and uncle's ranch, where she discovers a passion for horses and falls in love with a rugged ranch hand. To return to his hometown to recuperate, he never expects to fall for his best friend's little sister, who has blossomed into a beautiful woman. The owner of a wild Mustang sanctuary finds love with a cowboy who helps rehabilitate and gentle some of the more difficult horses. A single dad of twin daughters falls for the new elementary school teacher in his small ranching town, who helps his girls come out of their shells. An expiring writer leaves Seattle to try living off the grid in Montana, only to get snowed in with the handsome ranch owner during a blizzard. That's a pretty common trope in this genre. When the bank threatens foreclosure on a fourth-generation family ranch, an enterprising cowgirl enters the roping team competition to try to win the prize money and save her childhood home. A rodeo ranch champion heads home after a major injury jeopardizes his career and tries to convince his former high school sweetheart to give him a second chance. Second chances are always popular in westerns. The lone woman running a sheep ranch next door to a traditional cattle ranch finds an unexpected partnership with her stubborn neighbor when their animals get mixed during a storm. Coming from a ranch, I'd find that one hard to pull off, but all of those are very good for the genre. But I kind of like premise 2. So I said, these are great premises. Can you expand on premise 2? And Claude comes back and says, here's an expanded premise for 2 about an accountant who inherits a ranch. After a decade working as an accountant at a busy Chicago firm, Amy never expected to inherit her great-grandmother's struggling ranch in Montana. Though she spent a few memorable childhood summers on the ranch, Amy knows nothing about running a livestock operation in the unforgiving landscape of the Big Sky country. Her boots still shiny and new, Amy chooses to give ranch life a temporary shot, despite protests from her boyfriend back home. When her stubborn neighbor, rugged, handsome rancher Shane Johnson, hears the city slicker has come to take over the ranch next door, he makes no effort to hide his skepticism of her abilities. Amy strives to prove herself to Shane, and as she deals with calving helpers, hay shortages, and failing farm equipment, but the long hours and steep learning curves leaves her second-guessing her decision. Through all the challenges, Amy finds comfort in the awe-inspiring beauty of the Montana skies at sunset and discovers a sense of resourcefulness and independence she didn't know she had. As Shane chips away at the defenses surrounding his scarred heart and comes to respect Amy's determination, they develop a mutual attraction. But will this new outlook give Amy the courage to save the ranch, or will she return to Chicago at summer's end and leave her heart behind? We can see where both characters can have an arc for growth, and that's good. But I don't see much conflict here. I know it's sweet, but you still have to have conflict. And so I said, that's great. What about Shane wants to buy the ranch to add the acreage to his own? So Claude comes back with, adding some extra conflict with Shane wanting to purchase the ranch himself makes things more complicated. Here's a continuation. What Amy doesn't know is her stubborn neighbor Shane has been on the family's ranch over the last few years whenever it went up for sale. He has dreamed of expanding his cattle herd and adding her acreage of prime grazing land. When he learns Amy has taken over the ranch, Sean sees it as a temporary situation. Surely this city girl will throw in the towel before long. Shane decides to make things harder for Amy to encourage her to sell. He forgets to fix fences between their properties, allowing his herd to graze on her land, shoots down her ideas for slowing the bank's threat of foreclosure, and maybe even attempts a bit of sabotage when he can. Meanwhile, Shane's grudging respect for Amy continues growing, even as he works against her succeeding. When Amy catches wind of Shane's underhanded ploys, she thinks he's nothing but a conniving bully trying to chase her off. But underneath the scheming lies powerful attraction neither can continue denying. Amy must decide whether to fight for the ranch or admit defeat and return home. Will Shane's bid to purchase the land destroy a budding romance? Or can these two strong-willed neighbors find a common good? Here, there's a little bit I think would want to change because it says he had bid on the ranch when it went up over the last few years. I don't think it's been up for sale the last few years. He could have been hounding her relative. What relative was it? Grandmother. He could have been hounding her grandmother to try to get her to sell the ranch to him. But I don't think the ranch has actually been for sale. So here I'm asking it to outline the story, and I'm using Marigold's outline prompt right here, where with the 14 numbered beat, alternating POVs, assigning a Myers-Briggs, and seamless transition between one chapter's cliffhanger and the next one's hook. Okay, identify the main points. And I give it the format so that I can feed it into the pseudo-write outline. And so then I don't have enough context to provide detailed chapter outlines on this requested format. Based on the information provided, here's a high-level sketch summary. This definitely isn't enough for beats for the chapters. I looked at it and I thought, provides a scaffolding without more detail. I asked it, would developing a synopsis give you the information you need to generate an outline? Yes, developing a more detailed synopsis that elaborates on the key characters, settings, and plot points in story beat would give me helpful context. And here it tells me what a successful synopsis covers. Main protagonist, love interest, character background, supporting character descriptions, detail on the ranch and town, events, story, tone, and pacing. Okay. So it really wants a full-fleshed synopsis. He's telling me that then he would have enough understanding to create this. I said, okay, please develop the synopsis with all the information you need. And so here it gives me a much more detailed synopsis. Amy inherits the struggling cattle ranch. We know about the protagonist. She's 29. Here's her Myers-Briggs, played it safe since college. Here's the love interest, his Myers-Briggs. Apparently he wears worn jeans and plaid shirts. Okay, he had a heartbreak years ago. We don't know what that was. And we have Katie, who's Amy's quirky best friend. Hank is a rough ranch hand. The setting is the Heartland Ranch, just located outside the rural ranching town of Redstone Ridge, Montana. At least it wasn't Willow Creek. Framed by rugged mountains and big sky country. The ranch has outdated equipment, lean cattle herds, but holds treasured memories for Amy. And so here we get in the synopsis. And I won't read all of that, but it's a much more detailed synopsis than we had before. So now I said, please create an outline following the requested format. So here's the draft outline. And because of the format I gave it, it tells the characters are in it, setting and location, Amy's tone of voice, her thoughts, and it's going to be in her point of view. And the story tone is sweeping, romantic, funny, and hopeful. Okay. So it gives us the beat. She arrives at the ranch. She oversees the rusty farm equipment. The ranch hand Hank questions her. She understands what she's getting into. She sees Shane across the fence. Katie is encouraging ranching dreams over drinks in town, but warns her away from Shane's grumpy reputation. I don't know how Katie knows that. We'd have to do something about that one. While examining the Heartland's accounts, okay, Shades repeatedly bid on the property when it up for sale. Okay, we have to fix that. That's not going to work. And she finds something else that says he wants to buy the land. So she insists on proving herself. And then that's not much of a cliffhanger. Long day mending fences, getting supplies, and with her resting on the front porch. No, I don't think so. And it's also not 14 beats, but that's all right. So Shane is confident 34-year-old rancher. Okay, Hank's his ranch hand, but Hank was over helping her, so we're gonna have to work out that detail. And this is Shane's point of view, wiry, stubborn, secretly lustful. Okay, depends on how secretly and how lustful, since this is a sweet romance. Okay, he's watching her with the stray cattle. Okay, get pushed in a water trough. Let's maybe a little humor. Hank complains about something. Amy teases Shane's obvious attraction. So Katie apparently knows Shane, so maybe she's from the town. That's something we really need to flesh out. Okay, reminded of his prior land, he considers ways to nudge her back to Chicago. She increases struggle, confronts Shane about his interest, and he returns home to guide Amy, convinced the Heartland will be his once she vanishes the vacation. Okay, once again, no cliffhanger. So it went on like this. There are good points and there's bad points. This is certainly going to have to be cleaned up quite a bit because this is leaves me with more questions than answers. But we go on, and I don't think I told it how many chapters I wanted. Oh, so Claude here stopped and said, I can continue this across the remaining chapters if it's helpful. Let me know if you'd like me to flesh out the full arc or if this conveys the requested format so far. And so I said, does this give you enough information to generate good novel prose appropriate to the genre? You need to flesh out the arc more fully. Comes back and says, this outline format provides a strong foundation, hitting the 14 beats per chapter, which he didn't do. Fleshing out a few additional chapter outlines would be very helpful for guiding a first draft, which I thought so too. So exploring the relationship milestones, tensions, and resolutions. And here he's telling me what readers of contemporary romance expect. Emotional turmoil, ultimately happily ever after, of course. Uh, then he said, yeah, I can do the setting, the backstory, and all that. Said, okay, go ahead and develop it more fully. And here's the richer outline. Letters full of her grandmotherly advice, timeless ranch wisdom. She's looking at the accounts. Dearest city friend Katie. You know, we still have to work on Katie because I don't know where she's coming from here. Once again, we really don't have the cliffhangers. No, Shane's watching her. She actually fixed an engine by herself. Okay. There's a waitress, Molly. That's another minor character. So he's trying to decide whether romancing her might get him the ranch or not. So once again, which method gives you the best information? Captures the tone and essence of the contemporary Western, having a complete outline that hits every plot point. So you see, this is the sort of conversation that in the past I would have had with a critique group or a writing partner. But the one thing about the AIs is that they're always available. They don't get tired. They don't laugh at your stupid ideas, which can't happen within a critique group. But this is a back and forth conversation about why this story would work or why it wouldn't. And once again, I'm saying, please extend. But now, starting with chapter 5 again, we come to, okay, brainstorm more key story ideas, twists, and tensions that propel Sean and Amy, major growth arcs. So then I said, how many words would these generate? And what is the reader expectation? A full-length novel, 80 to 100,000 words. And this genre, I think that's a little over. Rockland average, 5,000 words per chapter. And so, see, he's saying we only have 35,000 words so far. And this would only constitute about a third of the novel. Here's the beats that are found in the story. And I think we need at least 12 chapters at 5,000 words. Now we know that this is Claude, so he's not going to generate 5,000 words unless we really nudge him. And you can see I've been nudging him all along. He would approach 60,000 words, which is still a bit shy. I would be happy with this at 60,000, but 75 plus 75 would be okay. But we really need a 5-chapter extension. And so here I say, please turn this story into a full-scale contemporary romance. And so here, instead of doing the outline, he actually did the novel prose. And we have the gravel crunching under her tires. That's cliched. Chris Montana air. But here we see in the rundown ranch with her grandmother's encouragement. Oh, okay. So Katie was back in Chicago and she gave her the Stetson hat. So that's interesting. Okay, and this is Hank, which it looks like here that Hank works on that ranch. Yeah. There's good stuff in here. It's not great, but it might be. Here we go into chapter 2, which once again, and if you notice, isn't anywhere near 5,000 words. We have Shane's point of view, which is following the outline it did up above, I think. She's wrangling the stray cows. Okay. So now I ask it for the same type of outline that I asked it before, with a dramatic drama-style opening hook and cliffhanger. We'll see what happens. Here's an attempt. Now we have that. Okay, this one a little bit better on the ending. She's thrown into the mud by an unruly calf, looks up to see Shane watching. And then here we have his point of view. Once again, he's watching. And Hank's complaining to Shane. I actually think that there should be another character that works on his ranch. Okay. So here at the tavern, they're betting against her. And she's tracking down cows. And here, if you see, where did that say? He's swaggering astride his horse. I really didn't like that, and I talked to that about Claude. It says, good catch. Swagger does imply too much bravado for horseback riding. Believe me, I've ridden a lot of horses. You can't swagger. Okay. So he changed that a little bit. So you have to go back and forth. You're the writer, and you have to pinpoint what's going to work and what's not. Now, this is still just a super rough outline, but I can continue to go back and forth with Claude about it until I get ready to actually do something more with it. So let me know if that adjustment captures the essence better. And he's such a flatterer. I appreciate you catching moments that feel off or clashing. Help me craft the tone and voice more authentically. What I hope is that that's helping train the model to do better. Now, I know they say that they're not training the model on our work, but I think they are. But I really hope they are on each conversation, because this whole conversation is held in the context of the context window, which with Claude, this is Claude 2, which has the 100, I think it's Claude 2, which has the 100K context. Claude 2.1 will do some outlining, some premise, sometimes, and sometimes it won't. It is specifically written for nonfiction. It's supposed to be truthful. It's supposed to prevent people from using it for false news and deep fakes. So it complains quite often. 2.0 works really well for fiction, and it is my favorite model. And I don't know, someplace I set that. Let's see. Where did I? Net account settings. It's not going to tell me. It's not going to tell me. But anyway, so this one, it does need a lot of work. But usually, if I don't have a real firm idea in mind, and a lot of times I do, but I will just start out with a genre and ask for premises, and then go over the suggested premises to see which one really resonates and which one I think usually would be fun to write. So that's my beginning process a lot of the time. And your process will be different. Everybody writes differently. I don't expect you to follow mine, but if you think it might work a little bit for you, go ahead and give it a try. Watch Nicole's videos because she does it differently. Marigold does it differently. It all depends on what resonates with you. And for working with the AI, I find that this is a pretty good beginning for me because it's what I was used to before AI with bouncing ideas off my fellow writers. So now I just use the AI instead. Okay. I hope you found this helpful.